So our second radical debate, as they said, it's does social responsibility come first? In the 2v2 format. So you know the rules. We'd like a clean fight, nothing below the belt. We have Mandy and David, Michelle and Shirley. But before we start, I'd like to take a quick poll, if possible, from the audience, because what we'd like to see is if what you hear today is going to change your mind on this issue. So we'll do a quick raise of the hands, please. For those of you who believe financial returns come first, because that's how a company stays alive, please raise your hand. Oh, wow. Okay, 3 or 4 people. Well, obviously you two. Well, you've got a task ahead of you. For those of you who think that it's 50-50, okay. And for those of you who think that social impact must come first? Oh, also fairly small numbers. So we're in the 50-50 camp at the moment.
Good start.
Right. So to begin with, I'd like to ask you, please, to give a short introduction of who you are and your definition of a purpose of a business, alluding to value creation and what is value. So I'm going to ask Mandy to start.
So hi, everyone. I am Mandy Powell, and I am the founder and creative director of EQ International, which is a creative branding agency for impactful brand. I'm also the COO of Atlas Chiropractic, and we have a little booth at the back today. So my experience of burnout 2 years ago has helped me to redefine my purpose in life and the way how I see the purpose of business, which is financial first, which is the side that I take today. And I believe that business values creation, it's not only on financial returns, but also we need to think about the positive impacts. But there are, I guess, like my take today is there is a order to do that. Financial should come first. Once we have the stable and strong foundation, then maybe we can start to think about how we can create a bigger impact for the society and also the broader world. And obviously, I think individual personal purpose and fulfillment is really, really important as well. So, yeah.
Thank you. David?
Yes, hi. My name is David Lee. I'm on the same side as Mandy. So my background is I'm an investor turned entrepreneur. So my specialty is in financial technology. Very thankful to be here. Let me just start by saying, yeah, I'm all for noble goals, okay? I'm all for noble goals, but in the end, we all have to pay our bills. We all have to pay our rent, right? Put food on the table. So we have to also mix that with reality. And that's, I think, a key stance that we're taking to make sure that for these noble goals to have a chance in the world, to affect our lives, I think we need to make sure that there is financial viability. There are customers that are willing to pay for your product. I just heard a wonderful speech a little while ago about a young woman that was, making coffee, and she was telling about how she made all these great friends as a result of her business. I mean, those are things I think that we can talk about in debate. So hopefully, we'll be able to shed a bit more light on this topic, and we'll go from there.
Thank you, David. Michelle?
Thank you. Thank you, David. I couldn't help. I will start with the purpose. So business is all about the people. So my purpose is very simple. We put the people first. Technology is a solution, and then financial success naturally follows. So now let me introduce myself. I'm Michelle Zhang, founder of Muse. Muse is a marketplace, use AI and decentralized technology for people to do the luxury investment. We make luxury investment simple and transparent. Basically, we actually redefine the investment landscape by emerging innovation with authenticity, ensure all these transactions backed by the transparency and the trust. So My background was in finance. Now I am one of the non-tech background, the female founder in tech. So today I'm very, very grateful to take this opportunity, be here, speak about this topic, which is very close to my heart. It challenges us to think beyond traditional measures of success and considering what it truly means to create value in today's world. Thank you.
Thank you. And Shirley.
Hi, everyone. My name is Shirley. I'm the founder of White Owl Group, which is a collective that is passionate about curating a diverse range of concepts centered around wellness and sustainability. My journey began with a deep-rooted belief that businesses can be a force for good. And I set out to create spaces where health-conscious choices are not just accessible, but also enjoyable. A little bit more about myself. I'm actually a banker turned baker. So obviously, financial is important, but I find that purpose is equally important at least for myself and also my career. So allow me to introduce some of my brands under White Owl Group. Some of you may probably have heard of the Cakery, which started 8 years ago. It's Hong Kong's first health-conscious cake shop. So we offer a wide range of healthy desserts, ranging from gluten-free, plant-based, sugar-free, so just so everyone can enjoy their type of dessert. Another brand that we recently established is Maya Bakery, inspired by my daughter, and it's a 100% plant-based bakery. Our mission is to make plant-based options more accessible to everyone and proving that healthy eating is both delicious and also satisfying. And last but not least, Cultured, which is an online platform where we sell fermented foods. So we have plant-based fermented cheese, kimchi, which is also good for your gut, but at the same time also good for the environment.
Fantastic. And there was some delights for tasting over there as well, so anyone can go and try them later. I'm very interested in the fact that we have two members of or former members of the financial industry saying that we should put social impact first, and then we have somebody who's not from the financial industry saying we should put financial returns first. So our question is it possible to achieve competitive financial returns while also generating a positive social impact? And I'd like to ask Mandy to go first, and you have 2 minutes.
So my short answer is yes. I think based on my experience consulting for a lot of impactful brands, a lot of them were focusing a lot on perfecting the sustainable solution while they don't have enough funding and capital, and ended up I see the result has not been great based on my experience. So I guess like I said, like the order should be prioritizing the financial first, and by doing that, I would strongly suggest that the impact that we can see is going to be penetrating into different perspectives. The first one will be on the world. Without a sustainable, without enough funding, the business model will not be sustainable, and the business will not last. I guess on the society perspective, it's we will also create more jobs for the society, and we will be able to also attract more talent. The third, it's on the company level. It will also help increase the operational efficiency. So recently at Atlas Chiropractic, we have utilized WhatsApp automation chat called Lala Chat, and it has massively helped our staff to reduce their workload, and they're just much more happier. Because they have less time to, need to take care of the WhatsApp messages and more time to really connect with the customer on the front desk. So, yeah, I guess I'll pass it to David.
No, hold on. Thank you. We will go over to the other side first for the opening statement. So, Michelle, please.
Sure. Is it possible to achieve competitive financial returns while making a positive social impact? My answer is it's not only possible, it's essential in today's world. So those two, they are not opposites. They are actually go hands in hands. So companies, they start with social responsibility. They build a more solid foundation of trust and loyalty, which directly leads to the long-term success. So to make this happen, actually, for us, to be honest, we really should change our mindset, change how we think. So social responsibility, it's not exactly an extra cost. It's actually investment in resilience. So it's not we're not talking about the profit in the next quarter or it's a number show in the your P&L. It's actually focused on the long-term growth, which means you build the brand, people trust. You build the brand, your employees so proud to come work every day, and the business you build, your customers believe in. So it's not to take away from financial returns. It actually makes them stronger. So nowadays we are actually, thanks to Alibaba, thanks to Amazon, thanks to Apple, we are actually living the era of community economy. Business today, we are not just delivers one product, one service. We are actually become a part of larger community, creating value that's shared. So when company make responsibility a core part of who we really are, we gain more than just the good, reputation. They earn the customer loyalty, reduce the risks, and make sure the brand can handle by any challenge. So the short-term costs are small compared to the long-term benefits. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you. David.
Thank you, and thank you for that argument. So I think I'll just maybe concentrate on the two things that I was instructed by Mandy, my boss, to talk about, which was scalability of a business and stakeholder appreciation. So maybe I can start with a story. So there was a company started in 2015, and there was a guy, pretty smart guy, lived in Silicon Valley. Let's just call him Sam. So Sam wanted to start this company, and he made his filings. He created a company. When he had to declare whether the IRS could tax him, he declared on his 501, which is one of the tax forms you have to fill out when you establish a company, just to make sure that the IRS gets their due. He said he wanted to create a technology company that would change all of humanity. Pretty noble goal, right? I would agree with that. And he had a partner. And let's just call him E, because if I tell you his real name, you'll know who he is. E. And so they started this company, and E, which he was also an entrepreneur, very rich guy, so he foot the bill. And so this guy Sam could do whatever he wanted. He built a great technology base. But all of a sudden, E and Sam had a bit of an argument, and E left. And so Sam, because he wanted to change the world, had to find someone else to help support him. And I'll tell you the name of the company. It's Microsoft. And the person that made this was Sam Altman, and his partner was Elon Musk. So I think what I'm trying to get at here is everybody has noble goals. I'm the first person to think that noble goals are akin to our human nature, but we always have to understand what the stakeholder wants, meaning Microsoft obviously wants to make sure that you use their AI Copilot, and the fact that there's scalability, meaning that sooner or later, OpenAI, despite the many times that we use it, will have to make money in the future for that to be effective and affect our lives. And I'm sure that no one will disagree that OpenAI and the relative, I would say, affiliated technologies have all affected our lives positively. And I think that's maybe a way of looking at how we can understand why financial needs may be a necessary evil for the overall good. I'll stop there.
Thank you, David.
Yeah.
And last but not least, Shirley.
So as someone who switched from banking to baking, so it's obvious that I think it's possible to achieve competitive financial returns while generating positive social impact. So I actually have some statistics that prove that it's actually possible. There's a report in 2022 indicated that sustainable equity funds outperformed traditional funds by an average of 3.9% over a 10-year period. So this trend suggests that SRI can yield competitive, if not superior, returns. There's also another report that saying that 88% of institutional investors are incorporating ESG factors into their investment strategies, reflecting a significant shift towards responsible investing. So aside from all these statistics, there is actually a few points that I want to mention, which my partner Michelle also mentioned. Consumer demand. There is actually an increasing demand from the consumer side. They prefer responsible brands, which they think can help drive profitability for companies. So there's another survey found that 61% of consumers prefer to purchase from brands committed to sustainability. There is also regulatory support. Many government and in Hong Kong, for sure, is encouraging sustainable practices through incentives, making it more appealing for businesses to adopt social impact strategies. Also, brand loyalty. Companies known for social responsibility often enjoy increased customer loyalty, which can translate into enhanced financial performance. And also, last but not least, there's on the risk management side, which Michelle mentioned, companies prioritize ESG factors may be in a better position to manage risks, leading to a more stable return.
Thank you. So you'll now each get a chance to rebut the other side, or ask for clarifications, or directly challenge the opposing ideas. So Mandy, if you'd like to go first.
Yeah, I would like to address. I totally see what you guys are trying to, share here, and I also see the purpose behind all the points that you guys are making. I would like to actually address the point of the brand loyalty and higher demand, and a modern customer, they actually want to see like brand that carry social impact and also like CLS. But I would also love to ask on these 2 points, like without enough funding or like finance, how can we make sure that we execute properly? And I believe that having enough capital and finance, we are actually able to provide better service products and better R&D in the development as well, and that would basically create greater impacts in the society.
Michelle?
Okay, thank you for your point, Mandy. So I understand your point, where it come from, and yeah, I do reckon, all the company needs a financial stability before focus on the social responsibility. But I see it slightly different here. There's a point. It's like you build a house. So without a strong foundation, it won't stand for long. But we are talking about the long-term success. That is one of the definition here. Are we talk about the short-term gain or long-term success? And also I want to point out is the companies which they focus solely on the profit first, that risk losing the trust of their customers and facing costly like regulation challenges. So look at what happened with Facebook and the data policy. So that I do think that fines and the damage is not just the PR problem. It's actually a big number for the financial burden. And yeah, that's my point.
Okay, thank you. David?
Yes, so I think these are all great points, and obviously the side that is on the social good side has raised very salient points which are, I think, pertinent to this debate. I just let's get back to the ESG point. So there was a point made by the other side about ESG, how people want to invest in more in ESG. So how did that all start? Well, it all started when asset managers the global asset managers that manage the assets of your retirement and of many assets in the world decided to create this category. BlackRock, Vanguard, Fidelity. BlackRock just happens to be an investor in one of my companies, by the way. And they made up this great, society for good, all this other stuff. But in the end, did you know, just to let you know, and this is just a fact, is that ESG funds actually charge a higher fee for management. And I think you know where that fee goes, right? So again, and it's not because it's evil, it's just they need to ensure there's infrastructure, because if you are going to be certified as an ESG-friendly company, or maybe the fund is ESG-related, you have to have lawyers. They cost money. You have to have accountants. They cost money. You have to have these auditors to ensure that the rules are followed, so that people that want to invest in these assets, which there is a huge amount, will be able to do it with the self-assurance that they've made the correct investment. So again, I think what we're trying to say here is that even the fact that you want to do something for the social good, there is a cost that is associated with it. Now, I'm all for minimizing the cost. I'm all for making sure that there are tax breaks by the government or these types of things that will help incentivize people to increase this. But I want to make sure that people understand that this is not just essentially we're going to do the social good and that's what it's going to be. It's going to be more of, okay, we'll do the social good, but what type of infrastructure is needed to support this to be able for people to access it?
Thank you, David. And Shirley.
Definitely everything, there's a cost to it, and I'm fully aware that, when I say we need to worry about the social aspect of when we run a company, it is obviously still equally important on the financial side. So I'm not saying that we focus on the social side and not to worry about like the financial side. Obviously, if we don't make money, then there's nothing we can do. We can't grow the company. So what I'm saying now is we actually need to consider both hand in hand, because if we don't start now, when are we actually going to start? Are we going to wait till our company, makes a lot of money? Then when we decide to change and be a bit more social conscious, it's going to be very difficult for the company to make all these change because the foundation is already set. People's mindset is one of the hardest thing to change. So if from the very beginning you don't start right, I think it will become very difficult to make the change in the future.
Okay, thank you. All very interesting positions, but I would have to say that you all come across as very nice people. And because of that, I think we're not discussing something that was part of the attention of today. So I'd like to think more about the definition of responsibility, and I'd like to think more about the impact of technology and the potential negative impacts of technology. You referenced AI, David, and there's a big discussion around the responsibility and the ethics. You mentioned Facebook. There have been some incredibly damaging impacts of Facebook on society at large. So I guess the question that I want to ask is it okay to put financial returns first and then try and unwind the damage that's already been done? And at the same time, because clearly I'm leading a little bit with the question, but at the same time, can firms fund that? Can they do all of that work in advance to make sure that the technology they're creating doesn't have the negative impacts before they even start making any money in the first place? So I would like to change the order a little bit. So Shirley, would you like to go first onto that?
So I think if you start to set a foundation at the very beginning, even though at the very beginning it's difficult to make money, but obviously before you set up a company, you need to take all these investment costs into consideration. So once you have like a good foundation, I think things will kind of come to you. There will be investment opportunities. and also the brand reputation, because you are doing some social impact, people will come to you just because you are doing good things. And I think that will definitely help at the beginning. If you have a purpose, you tell people you have a purpose, people will come and support you. So I think that part, it will help you grow a little bit faster in terms of branding, which I think is very important. Obviously, depending on which field you're in. For F&B, which is what I'm doing right now, I think branding, the purpose is quite important for my side.
Okay, Mandy?
In my opinion, based on the experience using Lala Chat, it has definitely, the automation has actually helped a lot with my company's employee satisfaction. So there's always good and bad side of everything. And I think it really comes down to a personal responsibility to set the right intentions behind how we use all these technology at the end. But yeah, I do definitely still stay on the same side. I think financial should always come first, because with like bigger financial, we can create better impact. But in terms of the intention, I think it really comes down to the individual.
Okay, Michelle?
Okay, to make the speech, instead, I will ask some question to the other side, to which you confirm my statement here. So I actually would love, I think both of us, we agree with social impact. It is important. It's just when. It's financial stable or it's when. So my question here is, at what point do you believe a company is financially stable enough to start being socially responsible? Is it too subjective? That is my question, first one. And the second one is goes to, usually in business, we often encounter the situation where value and the financial goals come into conflict. So, if, for example, decision might be more profitable, but could go against the company's value or social responsibility commitment. So when you face such a situation like that, how do you make your choice? Do you prioritize the financial gain, or do you stick to your value? That is another question to, basically it's when and how you deal with the conflicts.
David, would you like to take that one?
So I think that to answer that question, first of all, let's go to the root of the question here, which is essentially, you said yourself, I mean, this maybe there's a sense of evil or maybe a disincentive for people to act badly. Let's just go with that premise for now. So again, just full disclosure, one of my companies that I've invested in and I'm actually head of is actually an AI company that helps people actually invest, or not you directly, but financial advisors help their clients invest better. So just to make sure that that's fully disclosed. So I would say that you have to define what evil is and what social good is. Now, my definition of social good is everybody has work, everybody's able to support their families, everybody has something that they can fulfill for retirement. And given that definition, I think that technology and financial viability is probably the most important. Let me give you an example. So again, a couple of years ago, there was a large financial group, JP Morgan. The chairman was asked a question, well, what do you think about the fintech boom that's recently happened these days? And the guy was like, what are you talking about these days? There was a financial technology boom in the 1980s. And back then, I don't remember, but I'm sure maybe there are people that are. You don't have to raise your hands, but you know, when you went to the bank, you actually had to go to a teller, a human being, and withdraw money. Isn't that wild? You had to actually talk to someone to take $1 out of your account.
Yeah, I'm going to raise my hand to that
Yes,
one.
okay. Adam, I wasn't looking at you, but hey, okay. We can,
No, you're right.
we can talk about that later.
You're absolutely
But
right.
what I was saying is that back then there was something called ATMs, automatic teller machines. And when they came out, there was this big demonstration about how tellers would lose their jobs, how branches would be closed and it would all be taken over by robots. And you know what happened? Branches actually increased. There are 50% more branches now about 90,000 in the US than there were back in the 1980s. And you know the tellers, what they did? They didn't give money from that time on. They actually became mortgage lenders. They actually added value and service, and the banks made more money, and the banks then essentially were able to offer more service. And even, I'll give you another example, even more mundane. You know those scanners where you have to scan the stuff and then you get the price? When the scanners came out, people were afraid that the grocery person that was making was the cashier, those guys would be out of business. In fact, more cashiers were actually employed as a result of that. That's a scientific fact. And so I'm trying to tell you that, again, so long as we have guardrails in terms of what the investment is, and I'll just give a wild example. I don't think I've ever been pitched, I don't know if there's investors here, where someone comes to me and says, David, there's a $10 billion market in the black market of trading human organs. You should invest in this idea. I don't think anybody would sort of invest in that despite the monetary gain. So long as those things are aligned and the guardrails are put in place, I think that this debate is more about what's the right way to incentivize and disincentivize certain acts so that we have a great balance between the two sides. So there's a maximum amount of utility for great social good ideas to be birthed, at the same time financial help that will sustain that birth to some type of scalability and philanthropy. I'll stop there.
Either of you would like to address what David has said?
Do you want me to go?
Yeah.
So there's actually an urgency for companies to have positive social impact. So for my side, I'm trying to promote plant-based food, which the main reason is why I want to dive into this business or try to promote sustainability and plant-based food is because of climate change, right? So I'm sure we've all experienced, the crazy weather, the flooding in the past couple of years. So if no one is doing what I'm trying to do, everyone is just focusing on, I need to make money first. So what's going to happen? Are we going to be facing more drastic weather? Are there going to be like more floods? So when would be the right time to make the change?
Mandy?
So I guess my perspective, it's not one or the other. There is a way where we can balance it, and the way we are trying to address is to focus on the finance first. So because with the capital, then we can drive social change. So for example, the mission, it's the social impact that we wanted to achieve. And I think that mission should never change from the get-go, from day one, when you want to create a business and a brand. But then slowly, once the capital is here, you can scale up how you wanted to impact the society. So when the brand just launched, you won't do a massive donations on behalf of your customer. But when the company has certain financial aspect and return, then we can do better contribution back to the society and also to our own employee as well for the company.
Thank you.
Agree. Social responsibility from the beginning to create, it's just as like, so it's a trust reserve, put that way. So because of the foundation we build is solid, we earn the trust, we earn the loyalty. Actually, it's like a trust reserve. I think it's important as a social reserve. It's the same thing. So business can draw upon during the tough time because you have the trust reserve. So again, we're in the history of community economy, especially we all have been through the pandemic. So the pandemic actually shows us that when the company survives, they do have the resilience. That's actually because they build all these loyalty, customer trust, which is very important as profitability. So I strongly believe company survive in this market. Actually, they do have the solid foundation of the stakeholders' trust. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you. We have a follow-up question. and I think it feeds off what you've all been saying a little bit, which is that times are changing. But I think the question I'd like to ask is, are we there yet? So in our current economy, are we in a situation where we can prioritize responsibility over financial returns? So to your side, I think the question is, you were talking about the guardrails, David, that as long as these guardrails are in place, but then who's meant to be implementing those guardrails? And are we in a place yet where those guardrails are automatically accepted?
Oh, okay. So yes, I think the answer is yes. I think the guardrails are set up. Once again, all of the asset managers that manage trillions and trillions of dollars, just to let you know, private wealth in the world, the total addressable market, which is one of the reasons why I invest in the AI companies that I do, it's 140 trillion US dollars. And it's growing at 5 to 7% per annum. And it's growing because you have to put in stuff for retirement, MPF, CPF, or 401k, or whatever the IRA Roth thing that you do if you're in the States. And I think that that actually enables you guys to actually understand, and you're the people that are going to be putting the guardrails in place. It is actually, I think, a very retail and very mass populist-driven sentiment of trying to do good. And as a result of which, the asset managers that manage the money on behalf of the pension funds across the world will then take that into consideration, put their social impact investing hat on, and they will then ask the venture cap funds or the PE funds to then also instigate and also enforce those things. And of course, again, you have your usual auditors, lawyers. They're good guys, okay? I'm not saying that they're evil, but they're going to be there to police everything. And I think that has shown again and again in terms of what we're doing. Now, there are going to be blips here and there. There will be tail risk, and there will be certain aberrations that will occur. But I think generally speaking, I think it just goes back to my first statement here. I'm all for noble goals, and I don't think anyone in this room disagrees with that statement. And so long as we can balance that with those guardrails, which has happened, I think that we should be vigilant, but at the same time, I think we should be comfortable with what direction we're going.
Okay. And for your side, you've mentioned quite a lot about if a business has the right foundations and it starts off in the right way, that it can build the brands and it can ultimately be more successful over the long term, which, yes, it makes a lot of sense. However, we are dealing with a situation today where the cost of living is going up, and I think especially young people today are struggling with this idea of, we've all agreed that we need to tackle issues like climate change and we want to be social responsibility, but I've also got bills to pay. And a lot of kids are graduating university with enormous debts from their student loans. So is it today feasible that we can ask people to join companies and earn less in order to address a socially responsible goal? Because the flip side may be that they could earn a lot more in a company that doesn't have to implement all of these additional protocols and policies in order to have that ethos that you're trying to achieve.
Okay, let me put it that way. Do you really think like Tesla saw the immediate gain by taking bond social stand early instead of waiting? That's the one. It's very, Tesla is a very good example to show actually, it's earlier. And also actually, do you know actually when you really, for the startups, early trust building through the social responsibility can significantly reduce the customer acquisition cost. Do you really think delaying it truly be a financially sound decision for startups?
So I'll have to do my fact checking. Tesla was started by an extremely wealthy individual, and they ran for many, many years at a loss.
Yeah.
So, they had the ability to prioritize that mission of delivering, electric vehicles to the world. But not every company has that luxury. So what would you say to the companies that are bootstrapping, that are having to fund it by themselves and really having to go out to their team members and saying, I need you to work for less in order to work for me because I can't afford to pay for you, but I have a mission. Do you think that we're moving in that direction when people are willingly going to automatically make that choice? Or do you still feel that you're having to persuade people?
Before Shirley answers that, can say, then all of us, we are not Elon Musk yet. Okay, then can we ignore our social responsibility to build our company? That's what I was thinking. Everyone should contribute, like to build your business with the social responsibility to make the whole economy, like the whole community, better. That's our part to do our thing. Everyone's not Elon Musk, right? No, so that is the point.
Okay.
Maybe you have,
I think for our type of business, we have to be very innovative in terms of our strategies. So instead of running like a traditional business, there are ways to cut costs and also use the money for hiring better staff, and also for people or the talent who are interested in working for our type of company, then they probably feel that they have a mission or they're passionate about what they do. So they probably don't mind as much probably doing like two people's job or three. So it really depends on the style of the business as well.
Okay. And then for your side, talking about the current state of society today. I mean, David, you mentioned the trillions of dollars in wealth management available today. And Mandy, you mentioned this idea that the two things should go hand in hand, socially responsible impact and financial returns. Do you think we'll ever end up in a stage where the requirement for financial returns is reduced? Do you think that we as a society may get to the point where we accept less in order for a greater good, or do you think that financial return is still paramount?
I guess my take would be realistically, we still need money to run the business and to create a greater impact. Although I mentioned like the mission should never change and the mission should gradually scale up in relation to the amount of contribution that we want to give back to the society. So I think I would also see that coming to the financial first point of view, it doesn't mean that it's not sustainable. Actually, it's more sustainable because if we look at the business growth or like business expansion in like a longer term, in like 30 years time, there should be like a graduate process. So going back to your question, I would still strongly believe that the financial should come first to create a greater impact for the society and the world.
Okay, and so yeah, to David, I'm curious. Will we get to a stage where you think we'll realize that there's a certain amount that we don't need over and above it from a financial return? Because in the investment industry, people are looking for 1,000x returns. Do you think we'll ever get to the point where people say, you know what, 10x is good enough, and then the rest can go into being more of a socially impactful side of the business?
Honestly, Adam, if it was just you and I over beers, I would say absolutely yes, but I know that's not true. We're all very greedy, greedy creatures, and greed is good, right? I mean, it feeds the necessity of making sure that there is no vacuum, shall we say, or a need that is not unmet. So I think my view is that, again, it's all about balancing the two needs, which I don't think are mutually exclusive. I think that what you just need to make sure is that we are all going to try to police ourselves, or people police us. And to a certain extent, I think that it's important to understand that once you realize the reality of, you know, how well you're going to live or the returns that you want, once you realize that, I think it gets a much more simpler, and you can also think about other things that are more important as well. Because let's face it, cryptocurrency, everybody wants to get on the next Pepe, right? Or the next Dogecoin or Shiba Inu, whatever. And that's the whole point of that sort of fiat currency, right? But I think, generally speaking, if people were to say, and maybe as people grow older and they have more wisdom and they're more attuned to the other necessities or the benefits of life, they'll say maybe, you know, so long as I have this much in the bank and so long as I can take care of my family, that's pretty good, David. I think that's sort of where I think everybody's going to end up being. If they have a choice, obviously they want more, right? Who wouldn't want more? But I think with that guardrail set up, I think it should be a relatively easy process to understand and obviously to go towards that noble goal of balancing social good and financial need.
Thank you. Any final words? Michelle, yes. Okay.
So actually, like, thank you to your point to the Web3, like blockchain. As I think the fundamental of blockchain actually is based on the trust. And when the blockchain, the whole thing, when they start, the people was worried about the money laundering, all this stuff. And actually, I was thinking, if the money laundering is not in the DNA of your business, it just won't happen to that direction. Same thing as a business we make for the social responsibility. If it's part of the DNA from the beginning, so you build the business with people believe in and want to support. That support actually drives the long-term success.
Thank you. Shirley, final words?
I think that, like, I'm not blindly saying that, oh, I'm all about social responsibility. Of course, we need to strike like a balance, you know. If you don't have enough funding, obviously you won't be able to carry on doing what you want to do. So I think it is very important to be able to strike a balance, but at the same time, keep in mind like our social responsibility.
That's a very nice way to end the idea of balance. So can I have a very quick show of hands, please, if we have changed anyone's mind? Financial returns come first. Oh, actually, a few people have changed their minds. It's a 50-50. And social impact comes first.
Yeah.
Well, I think maybe a few more people have entered the room or you've been more willing to show your hands because we've seen more numbers across the board. So thank you very much. I'd like to thank Yamilet and the team at Louder Connect for a wonderful afternoon. Thank you.